Aloha, y'all. It is Tuesday, named after Tyr, the Nordic Mars equivalent, essentially. Tuesday, the 3rd of May. I got confused and thought it was April yesterday and was kind of like flip-flopping. I'm like, is it April? What is it? It's May. The year is almost halfway over. It's like, what the fuck? So, May 3rd, the sun is at 13 degrees Taurus, the moon is at 12 degrees Gemini, Mercury's at 2 degrees Gemini. Venus is now entered into Aries, so you'll feel a lot more, a lot of things. Energy probably, selfishness, hopefully not in a bad way, but selfhood is Aries, where it's like, oh my gosh, me, my, I, want, ego. It's the beginning of the ego, right? I wanted to do this. I'm acting impulsively like that, so you might feel a lot of personal energy. Mercury is, I said Mercury. Mars, Venus is at 0 degrees Aries. Mars is at 13 degrees Pisces. Jupiter's at 28 degrees Pisces. Saturn is at 24 degrees Aquarius. Uranus is at 14 degrees Taurus, conjunct the sun by 1 degree. So you're also feeling a lot of electricity in that sense. Whole lot of energy. With Venus now in Aries and Uranus conjunct the sun, there's a lot of get up and go and let's change the world and why have I been sitting around and let's do a project and time to go, I'm sitting around too much, or that kind of energy. I woke up at 3 o'clock today. 3:30, 3 o'clock. Craziness. Though I did go to bed at like 8:30. So Uranus is in Taurus at 14 degrees, like I was saying, conjunct the sun by 1 degree. Neptune's in Pisces, 24 degrees. Pluto is in retrograde at 28 degrees Capricorn, and the North Node is at 22 degrees Taurus. It is a sacral chakra day, Svadhisthana. This is correlates essentially in the physical body with the ovaries and the testes, male and female counterparts. Your creative regions, the waters of creativity. It's lower in your lower abdomen. Keywords are happiness, confidence, and resourcefulness. Personality traits, positive ones, are sociability, creativity, joyousness, and independence. Negative aspects are withdrawn, destructive, despondent, and overly dependent. Mantra is VAM, V-A-M. VAM. You do it kind of like that, but VAM, or whatever. Make sure you do the key of D. Spiritual activities include meditation, celibacy, and fasting. Essential oils are jasmine, neroli, and orange blossom. Plants, jasmine. Metal is tin. Element is water. Crystals are tiger's eye, cornelian, and onyx. The soul lesson is peace and wisdom. So hopefully we get, with Venus and Aries, especially now, actively creative. North Node in Taurus, Sun in Taurus, Moon in Gemini. Let's come up with brainstorming ideas and make it so. Don't just sit there and kind of dream the day away. You only live one life in this body, in this mind, with this heart, with these actions, with this karma. Make the most of it. So let's go ahead and get some cards. I know that a lot of people are going through a lot of shifts right now, myself included, and it's all good. I listened at 3 in the morning to an album by DC Talk. One of the first concerts I ever went to was DC Talk, Christian band, and their album Supernatural, straight up, is on par with any Beatles or Pink Floyd album, and it's a Christian album. It makes no sense. Check it out if you haven't. Obviously, if you're a Christian, it'll probably resonate even more deeply, but even to the non-believer, the music is excellent. The vocals, the lyrics, everything. The production, the arrangements, it's a superb thing. 6 of Wands. With Venus going into Aries, this is very much that energy. North Node in Taurus having success in the world, but notice how, and with the Moon and Mercury in Gemini, he's kind of got the mercurial hermit, what's his name? Mercury. Hermes is, that's the word I was looking for. Hermes is hat, kind of victory. So, the 6 of Wands, if you don't know, Wands are the fire. That's why I was saying it's very Aries, Gemini mode. So if you're in Aries, Gemini mode, Aries and Venus mode. If you're an Aries, if you're a Leo, or if you're a Sagittarius, this is going to be your suit, the fire of the spirit, fire of action, of the will made manifest through the heart of fire. 6 of Wands, triumph and victory are achieved. Get your desired recognition. Fine-tune your pathway to success. Six of Wands. I lead through example. The Six of Wands is a card of success, a celebration of a well-chosen goal or ambition. A perfect opportunity to celebrate what you have already achieved, knowing you have rightly earned this success. There is no hesitation. Venus in Aries, right? You're making moves, not thinking twice. No sense of being a fraud. North Node in Taurus, your authentic and value is real. And you have proved yourself beyond capable and have mustered everyone's approval. Saturn in Aquarius, the group likes you. In the card artwork, we see the ritualized return of a great hero, part homage to artist Jack Burnley's original 1940s Starman superhero, part Renaissance statue. His return sparks both adulation and fear at the formidable powers and knowledge he has acquired from the distant lands conquered. The return of such a hero will also provoke resentment amongst those less worthy who had ruled in his absence. The bows he receives are not all marks of respect. Like the great hero Odysseus in Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, this returning leader may well have much treachery to deal with at home. South Node in Scorpio, right? Where it's like, all that glitters is not gold. People that are saying hurrah to this. It's kind of like in William Shakespeare's play Caesar, of which I was Mark Antony in middle school. Friends, Romans, countrymen. I gave that speech. Caesar returns home and everyone's like, Caesar, hail Caesar, hail Caesar. And there's a bunch of guys clapping and going, we're going to kill him. He's a problem. So, like, there's treachery maybe in the ranks, right? To leave one's home and venture off, no matter how noble the cause, means this aspect of life is left to the wanderings of fate. In this, the one who returns in triumph must be alert to their immediate environment. Venus in Aries, being alert to your environment and what you love and who's around you. North Node in Taurus, Sun in Taurus, your physical body. Sacral chakra, being alert to your creative power in the body. It is also time to move out and shine with new ideas. While you have immense self-belief in the rightness of your offering into the world, it must be understood that success can be extremely fleeting. And with Venus in Aries now, with Mercury in Gemini, we have ideas. Moon in Gemini, we have ideas that we've been thinking about and mulling over. Emotions, we're thinking about our emotions, we're thinking about our value. North Node in Taurus, Sun in Taurus. But with Venus now in Aries, we're willing to go out and show people what we love and who we are. In order to really engineer and carry success for some time in the future, Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn is structure and karma, time. How do you structure it ingeniously, Aquarius? You must enroll others in the value of your mission, Saturn in Aquarius, the royal we. You need to elicit their value system, Taurus, Sun, North Node of Taurus, and create a cohesive strategy that will align their needs and ambitions with your own. Venus and Aries, aligning the actions of everybody beautifully. Acting not merely as a figurehead, but really embarking on the task of true leadership, of clearly defining a vision that is in everyone's best interests. The ultimate win-win situation that is unifying, supportive, and gratifying for all involved. The Six of Wands suggests you are being invited to step forward into a position of leadership in your work or social life. Good leadership is about moving towards a shared vision, which preferably symbolizes the most promising of human virtues. Great leaders create an exciting, energizing, and optimistic environment. Moon in Gemini, right? It's fun. It's interesting. Mercury in Gemini is stimulating your mind. Coaching and affirming their teammates while being honest, accountable, compassionate, and ultimately decisive. There's a beautiful little blue bird next to me. And another bird right there. And they're just kind of checking me out. They are not afraid to take the brunt of criticism, and with a Sun in Taurus and now Venus in Aries, we are willing to get burned at the stake for our beliefs, right? They are not afraid to take the brunt of criticism and are able to offer encouraging feedback, fine-tuning of pathway to success. Moon and Mercury and Gemini, feedback, hopefully positive and constructive. It is time to invest in your own leadership abilities, North Node and Taurus. Be inspired and learn from leaders around you, investigating ways you can now take the lead. I'll claim that, right? Six of Wands, triumph and victory are achieved. Get your desired recognition. Fine-tune your pathway to success. And I will say, I was mentioning DC Talk's album earlier. I'm a Christian. I don't know if it's that apparent or if I say it that much. Yes, there's a lot of interesting magical mystery tour stuff going on. But when it gets into like, oh, Lucifer's God and it's all one thing and all this stuff, I've always kind of been like, I don't know. I'll find out one day. I still believe in, brokenness and humility and redemption and all these things that New Age people tend to like be like, oh, I don't need that. It's perfect. In a sense, it's all good. But even when things look great, there's people, there's Judases in the crowd, so to speak, being like, oh, yes, you're the shit, but I'm about to betray you. So we need to be very creative in our participation with reality in a fiery way, Venus and Aries now, knowing that not all that glitters is gold, South Node of Scorpio. There's things that are in front of us that we have to deal with. You got to pick up your cross and walk with it, right? So they say. So let's go ahead and get a clarifying card. It's really one of my favorite cards, actually. This card, Six of Wands. I love the art. Very poppin', colorful, jubilant, creative. Svadhisthana chakra. But also, more importantly, it's victory, but it ain't over yet. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, kind of thing, right? You come home, we are the champions, and it's like, actually, you just won the playoffs. Now you've got to really buckle down because there's people out here, scouts and members of the other team who are going to be all, not the Mighty Ducks or whatever, watching you and seeing your weaknesses and stuff and studying you. We got the Magician as the clarifier. Guys, they're both holding wands. And the wand is really just an instrument of your attention, if you want to look at it that way. So with the Magician as the clarifier, it's a major arcana card, right? It's kind of the alchemist, right? And this is the Magician card in this deck, the Starman Tarot deck. And basically it says, manifest your reality. Ideas are communicated and brought into physical world with ease, very Moon and Mercury and Gemini. You have everything you need to create the world you desire. Sun and Taurus, North Node and Taurus, you have your valuable assets and materials at hand, reconfiguring yourself in liberating and expressive and complex ways, right? So we are in a sense a song of creation, and we're always able to tweak and sing different stuff. And you want to be authentic. If you're having a bad day, listen to the blues. But don't just listen to the blues and drink whiskey all day or whatever, because you'll just get stuck in that vibration. If you're having a really good day, listen to some awesome music that uplifts you, but don't be manic and just snorting coke to stay on there. See what I mean? Tapping into this creativity, which is everywhere, is the power of the Magician, of the alchemist. That's the alchemy that we have within ourselves. But basically what the Six of Wands is saying is you have power, you have recognition, you have fire. Venus now in Aries. You have fire in your belly to get it out, get your value out there, North Node and Taurus, and show the world what you're made of, what you're thinking, and who you are at every level. Mercury and Moon and Gemini, right? Spread the gospel, if you want to put it that way, of your message, of your being. And know that it's never it's a paradox. It's a still point, like you're in the image of God kind of thing. You're this infinite kind of forever still hub of the wheel witnessing it all, but at the same time you're all the elements, the Magician card, right? You're all the elements combining and recombining in all sorts of almost periodic table element ways, and you're always alchemizing. So Six of Wands is saying, this is a good part of the story, but it's not the end of the story, right? This is almost like leaving the Shire in the Lord of the Rings. If you've seen that, it's like the first kind of climax, if you want to, of the story before they get to like insane climaxes, is like escaping the Shire without getting caught by the ring wraiths. It's like, oh, we did it, yeah. It's like, but the story ain't over, right? That's kind of what we're sensing here. You're gonna have to keep your wits about you, like Gandalf, the wizard, the magician, and use your mind creatively, right? With Moon and Gemini, with the Mercury and Gemini, Venus now in Aries, we have an ability to tap into a fire and an ingenuity that isn't normally readily available to us. We can be a champion of our moment, but we have to understand there's a great power. With great power comes great responsibility, and that responsibility might be looked at as good or bad by others. You can't please everybody all the time. You can only please some people some of the time. I'm learning that myself as a chronic people pleaser, ask my fiance. So stand in your power, stand in what you know and believe, stand in your righteousness, dare I say, and own your alchemical being. No matter what faith you have, if you're a Christian, a Muslim, an agnostic, an atheist, you're made up of elements. You have liquid of your blood, you have the earth of your bones, right? You have the air of your oxygenation of the blood through your lungs. And you have the electricity, there's all sorts of stuff in your mind, which your brain actually has gold in it to help conduct this electricity. You are an alchemical symphony. You have a masculine side and a feminine side, right? But you got to take this power and move forward in the journey with it, and not just sit still and rest on your laurels. Real great stories, real great music has many rises and falls, action and release, tension and resolution. So let's go ahead and get an animal oracle card. I was thinking about this today because my fiance is starting to look into Christianity, and She was like, divination's against the Bible. And I'm not saying it's not, but I think that's when you're like, I'm going to find out everything for myself. Like, is this divination what I'm doing? I don't really think it is in a sense, because even in the Old Testament, they had something called the Urim and Thummim, which is basically a black and a red rock, or a white rock and a black rock. And they basically was like, yes or no, binary kind of divination. Yes or no, should we do this, God? And they rolled the dice, kind of, so to speak. So I'm just, what I was thinking in my bed when I was listening to that DC Talk album was like, I could literally be moved by the Spirit, I guess you could put it, and go listen to any album or try to correlate any synchronicities. That's just the high magic, the magician card of reality, right? I think it's divination more when you're trying to, like, it's the subtle but real difference between Gandalf and Saruman. They're both wizards, they're both magical, everybody's magical, everybody has willpower, everybody's in the image of God, but some people use it for their self-praise, and some people are trying to actually help others for the glory of God, you could say. So we want to be using our power wisely on the journey for ourselves and others, being Gandalf and not Saruman, if you know what I mean. What we're getting is release. There's things we need to release. I think, and my fiance is right in thinking this, and I've always struggled with this, and that's why on the podcast that I have, Team Rabbit Hole podcast, Raphael and I had been at odds about it more, but I've softened to it. Maybe I should reconsider it. Creation is one thing, right? It's one beautiful dream of God, if you want to put it that way. But that does not mean it's all equal. Like a lot of New Age thinking is like, oh, there's no such thing as evil, right? Maybe we need to release that. It's tricky because I think at certain points we can look at stuff so we could overly emphasize certain things at certain points in history, right? So at one point, like during the Crusades, which is very Sagittarius South Node, but that's not where it is right now. Sagittarius Shadow is a crusade where it's like, I have the truth and I'm going to kill you if you don't have it. That's like a crusading kind of thing. Whereas maybe we're in a postmodern kind of new age or whatever, and it's very Gemini and Mercurial, where it's tasting all the food but not really digesting anything fully. So be careful what you hold on to. Just like Saruman probably didn't think he was going to get fucked over the way he did by Sauron and become a slave to darkness and his ego and machines and war and all this stuff. He probably started off with good intentions, like, I just want to expand my consciousness, right? He was on a journey, but that does not mean every choice or every aspect is helpful, right? So we have to be discerning. Why is the serpent gentle as doves, as they say? So release is coming up, Jaguar. This is actually, I have a spirit hood back home, and this is the spirit hood I have, a Jaguar. So release is number 9, as the Beatles would say, number 9 on page 42, might I add. Release what you no longer need. And I actually just released my membership to Serious Joy. Haley, newsflash. It's really cool, and I love Christopher Decky, but at some point you gotta, stop eating the food of others and prepare your own meal. So, release what you no longer need. Take action to move something from ideas world into the physical world. With Mercury and the Moon in Gemini, we've got a shit ton of ideas. Uranus, which is the higher octave of Mercury, is in Taurus, conjunct the Sun in Taurus. We are ready to birth a new world. And with Venus in Aries, we're ready to actualize it and take it from the mental brainstorming realm into releasing it, release the hounds, Smithers, releasing our victory mode, releasing our magic, ultimately our power, into the world and not hiding it under a bushel. So taking action to move something from the ideas world into the physical world, letting go of the old and stale and choosing renewal. And that's one of the trickiest parts, because a lot of people tend to have baggage with Christianity and religion and stuff and throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to release that which no longer serves you. I mean, that's the whole point of Jesus. If you read the Bible, he's like, you Pharisees and Sadducees, teachers of the law, like kind of a Sagittarius Saturn combination, where they're like, we know the truth and we're going to gatekeep it and no one can fuck with us, kind of almost like the Roman Catholic Church Pope mode stuff. Jesus came in and was like, y'all have lost the spirit of truth, Aries and Venus, right? And basically you're just kind of all being little Game of Thronesing for power and stuff, and not even really talking about God, and you're just kind of being materialistic bitches. So even within the paradigm of Christianity, you see that renewal and release, renovation is necessary, and that's even what the whole point of Revelation and the New Jerusalem is. It's like, it goes in waves like this, and sometimes there's golden ages, and then it dips, and then it comes back up, and it dips, right? So that's kind of how, let go of the old and stale and choose renewal. North Node in Taurus. Obsessively cling to what you know, Hiding it under a bushel, being afraid, that's very South Node Scorpio. We're trying to release that. We're trying to go North Node in Taurus, creating value and harmony and peace and understanding through our actions and our lives. Wash away the negative aspects of the past, surrender it all, and embrace the new. And at best, that's what Christianity is trying to get you to do, to be washed by the blood of Jesus, as they say, washing away the negative aspects of the past, your sin. Sin just means missing the mark, literally. So it's like, and this is why it gets tricky, because some people look to a religion to get it right. And ultimately, we are mad, no one's getting it right, but we're all on the journey, right? And we're all, every day has some victories, every day has some losses, and we have to continually keep playing with the game of the elements, of the alchemy of ourselves and others and the whole world, soul, releasing our perceptions. Say, there's a term that says, therefore by the grace of God go I. It's like, it's not us that holds the world together. We witness it. It's not us that's causing all time space. I mean, in some new age way, people think that. But I've always thought that we're part of a greater cosmology than just my own imagination. Anyway, release. Washing away the negative aspects of the past and surrendering it all, embracing the new. Page 42. Mythos. Ixchel, the fierce jaguar goddess of the ancient Mayan culture, was the goddess of midwifery, fertility, earth, rain, and the sacred sweat bath. Well, this guy's pulling over for some reason. He's going to make a lot of noise. Widely honored, her cult extended at one time as far as the islands off the east coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. And there he goes. He's got this load and he's making noise. Give me a second. Very Taurus sun, right? Get it done. Work, work, work. That's how it is in second world countries. Widely honored, her cult, which means culture, right? Her influence, extended at one time as far as the islands off the east coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. It was she who women turned to at the time of birthing. Because, like it or not, no one can escape culture. It's the prism through which our light as beings shine through, right? Just like, you can be like, well, I'm going to give up whatever. And it's like, the mind can't ever really release everything. The body is physically in time space. You can't transcend dietary needs and hydrational needs and sleep needs. Our minds can get into some really self-righteous kind of weird piety modes where, we can get high on some weirdness. But ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is this is an image of an archetype for a people in a time, Ixchel. At birthing time, the woman was oiled and flowers put into her hair. The sweat bath, solid and womb-shaped, as above, so below, was prepared, and the rainwater barrels gathered ready for the purging steam. Prayers to Ixchel in her jaguar form were offered. The woman would enter the sweat bath for some days until her labor began. She heard the songs of her ancestors, of the tribe, of the gods, and especially of Ixchel. It was she who granted and would aid in childbirth. Stories were told to fill the spirit of the woman's baby and make it strong and healthy. Mercury and Gemini, we're singing songs, we're telling stories, we're trying to program, because you can't get outside of programming. No, there's no such thing as a blank slate. Don't trip on that. Like, everybody has heroes and villains. Everybody has an individual self and is part of a collective. You are made up of all the elements, and yet beyond it and aware of it somehow. You're not just an unconscious rock or whatever. So Mercury and the Moon and Gemini, they're singing songs, they're telling stories, they're trying to fill the spirit of this baby with positive vibes, basically. She would begin her labor and sweat for the release. She would then leave the bath and give birth outside. Very Venus and Aries. Time to give birth. Offerings were made to Jaguar Goddess to celebrate the birth. Then the mother would re-enter the steam bath to purge herself of the afterbirth and any toxins in her body. She would, very Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, right? She's trying to get rid of the toxins. She would leave this in her body, in the world, physically. She would leave the sweat bath a mother, no longer a maiden, one day to become a grandmother, right? She's in the middle of her journey, right? She was once a kid, now she's celebrating having a baby, but that ain't the end of the story, Six of Wands. And this is the song that remains the same. This is the song that never ends. It's like birth, death, life, birth, death, life. However you look at it, is the fruit of the tree that grows up, releases a seed, and the next generation grows up. Jay-Z's Black Album has a really good intro song called Intro, I think, that has a good sample from some film. I have no clue what. It's like, everything is just this continual kind of propagation forward in the journey of victory of life, could we say. And we're all participants as magicians and spiritual beings in that, physical and spiritual beings. So, the animal, if there is one word you can use to describe this particular member of the genus Panthera, it is powerful. Venus and Aries, Sun and Taurus. Jaguars are built powerfully, emphasizing their strength right down to their bones. They are stocky and low-slung with robust legs that can leap on, and crush their prey. They are adept at swimming and can crawl silently through thick jungles. Their jaws are particularly well developed, and a comparative bite force study shows they possess the greatest force above clouded leopards, tigers, and lions. Very Saturn and Aquarius. Their structure is engineered well. This enables them to literally pulverize the biggest bones of their prey. Jaguars are typically spotted, but come in a melanistic variation of black panther. These particular panthers are only found in South America, whereas the pattern-coated jaguar are found right across central North America. I was like, what am I reading? Central North America, Mexico, and South America, including the Amazon. There might be some jaguars in Costa Rica. I hadn't even thought of that. African and Asian panthers are called leopards. The jaguar is the apex predator in most of its habitat, and yet is threatened by habitat loss and killing by humans, right? So it's winning and yet not winning. Six of Wands. It's the apex predator. It's got victory, but there's things out there that can kill it. So hopefully it knows its role and part in the song of life. On page 44, the magic. Call upon Ixchel and the releasing power of the jaguar woman Ixchel when you're ready to let go of something, whether it's an excess of something, a bad habit, a disease, old patterns. Ixchel is a powerful discharging force. For those who are getting ready for birth, she's a wise guide and will assist you to have an easier birth. Symbology, sweat bath, upturned water jug, woman with jaguar ears, steam. Status is threatened. So I got a lot of things on my mind, so I'll be probably referencing Christianity a lot today. But especially after listening to that DC Talk album. But we have to release even victories and defeats. You can't look back in the past and be overly like, oh, I'm the champion, I'm going to win all the time. The shadow of this is that you think you're going to be on top forever because you have before, right? Whereas I guess the positive spin could be like, you've overcome your demons and now there's more to go, right? So just keep on trucking, as they say. Gandalf didn't just stop his mission when he helped out in The Hobbit, right? When he helped Bilbo. That was just like a small little Six of Wands victory. It's like, oh, we defeated Smaug. But it's like there's a much bigger orchestration story. There's a much bigger alchemy going on, a much bigger thing. And one needs to release oneself every day. That's why you wake up and attack the day with a new energy, even though you're in many levels and iterations of continuity. You release the old as much as you can and are reborn every breath, every day, every thought. Knowing that you're in the middle of the journey and it's not over and you are in the image of God. So you have this powerful, intuitive, physical, creative will orientation that can make things happen in the world. You're not just some cog in the machine, even though sometimes it feels like that. In the Bible, it says something to the effect of that humans are going to judge angels. So it's like we humans have a far greater role. We're probably more magical, more powerful, right? More powerful, magical, and more victorious than we realize. The story ain't over yet, clearly. Our evolution isn't over, and we need to release our fears. We need to release our ego in a very kind of self-centered way and keep trucking along. So, we've got 25 as the hexagram is as follows. Innocence / the unexpected, right? What happens when you release your guilt and sin? What happens when you release your baggage? What happens when you renew your perspectives, whether that's through meditation or psychedelics or saying a mantra or a chant or a prayer or whatever? You restore your innocence, right? And that is a level of victory because in the middle of this story, Six of Wands, because it ain't over yet. Death is the final, not victor, but death is the final statement in your sentence. And we're always alchemizing, so release your hold on certain perspectives and fixedness. And when you release that stuckness, that self-sure, when you're like, I'm certain this is how it is. It's like, always Moon in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini. Be willing to be surprised, right? And that's how I have my inclinations and have had my experiences, but I'm always like, I don't know. No one knows, right? Just like, he's like, oh man, I won the fucking playoffs. It's like, but you don't know if you're going to win the whole series. Yeah, you're a good athlete who's being, a hero who's being celebrated, but these people will turn on you. You can't please everybody all the time. So your biggest allies will become your enemies at some point, and vice versa. Your enemies become your friends at some point. That's the alchemical nature of reality. So we need to release our expectations, which is kind of the whole Buddhist thing, where it's like, hold on loosely. That's how you return to innocence, right? Your inner child. Human nature is good at heart, for it is in harmony with the laws of the universe. And if you read Genesis, it's like in the beginning, God creates the world, God creates animals and water and all this stuff, and he calls it good, and he calls man good. So I think our original nature, before some distortion of whatever's going on occurred, whether it's falling into bicameral mindedness and having double-mindedness, or who knows what it is in some level, but we fell from innocence, which was our true original state. And to regain that is to kind of release levels of your developmental ego and culture and stuff like that. The world will not, you are in the world, but you're not of the world. I mean, that's the whole Christian thing, right? Be in the world, not of it. Even though you're made up of it and all the stardust and all this stuff, and it's the dream we're in. It's not the whole thing. Human nature is good at heart, for it is in harmony with the laws of the universe. Those who act from their feelings without ulterior motives are in a state of innocence, right? If you're acting from an authentic place and you're doing your magic, even if you're Judas, be the best Judas you can be, right? And we're all walking each other home, kind of Ram Dass style, Six of Wands, releasing our ignorance as we go, very Buddhist truth. It's like the veils of ignorance, which is basically like, not understanding, disappear, hopefully. It is only our egotistic motives which create difficulties. That's the, in the Bible, I'm using a lot of Bible stuff because I know my fiance is looking into this more. In the story of, Cain and Abel, the whole point is his pride is wounded, his ego. Pride, ego, kind of interchangeable here. It's like, hey, he's giving offerings and I'm going to give you my scraps, but it's not good enough and you don't like it. And the thing God says to Cain is, watch yourself. You're at the door of sin, or however this is translated, but it's like, you're at the door, don't let that thing come in, and it'll fuck you like an animal. It basically says something very bizarre like that, where it's like, it's going to have its way with you. And that's kind of what our ego does. It's like Gollum with the ring. Once he gets that in his head, there's something that takes him over and possesses him. And that's the shadow side of our ego that we have to release. That's the part of ourselves, the shadow of the magician that thinks we're like Saruman, we're better than it all. We can control all the elements. It's like, yes and no. You're a witness to them, but you're not in control ultimately of everything. You influence things, but you don't control them. Just like you might have a little bit of victory, but it ain't over yet. Anyway, it is only our egotistic motives which create difficulties. Somewhat our mind. This is the shadow of Mercury and Moon and Gemini. It's like, oh, this is what I think I should be. You're always this thing throughout time space that's growing. You're like a fetus of spirit that's developing and learning all sorts of stuff. It's when we start attaching to things and saying that's how it has to be that, the issues start coming and the innocence is lost. By always acting spontaneously and from the inner spirit, very Gemini Moon, Venus and Aries, you will discover a new side to yourself. Life will take a surprising and delightful turn. If you yourself evolve and develop, you can also bring about evolution and development among other people, right? So the more we release attachments, false perspectives, addictions, self-righteous behavior, one of the worst things to do is say, I don't have to change, I'm perfect. That's the kind of shadow of the New Age. There's a perfection to chaos and the world we're in, and creation's good and all that stuff, but to sit there and, this is where I have issues somewhat with like Buddhism and some New Age thinking, where it's like, oh, don't help the starving people because that's their karma. It's in a sense, it is the movie they're watching, but how are we as agents of change, as agents of victory, supposed to step into the lives of others and be heroes, right? And help alchemize their reality. Upsana, this is a general card reading, not an individual card reading, so I'm not pulling cards for individuals. Sorry. But you can still get a lot out of this. So we have to be heroes in our journey. Everybody is the center of their own world in a sense. Then we have to pull back and go, holy shit, actually it's like a flower of life pattern. I'm a circle. I'm a being in a whole play, and the play is going on. And sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're the crowd, sometimes you're the villain. You're always part of it at every level in a quantum sense. But we need to release back to innocence. We need to release our egos to the innocent state, saying, wow, I have no clue what the circle is, and I'm just going to follow this Ouroboros tail, and it's going to eat itself, and the song remains the same, and praise God that we're witness to it all at all. So, let's go ahead and get one more card. Got a lot of energy, I guess it's because I've been waking up early. Venus and Aries is probably a lot of it too, actually. Uranus conjunct the sun. Let's go. Got energy. Jasper. Which is funny because, just because New Age people don't have the corner on the market on stones and stuff. The breastplate of the high priest had jasper and malachite and all sorts of rubies and diamonds and sapphires and all sorts of crazy kind of channeling stones. Haley, we'll talk about this stuff later. The Great Dream, I have not clue what you mean by that, but word. So, jasper, and you can quantumly entangle with this. We're kind of part of creation, so you know the dust of your bones and the stardust that you're part of. This is also intrinsically part of the dream that you're in. Jasper, what it is? Jasper describes a huge variety of opaque quartz stones. From Picasso jasper, I'm going to be prolific, right? Very confident, 6 of Wands energy. I'm going to be prolific. And power to Muakite jasper, I'm going to lay low and power up. To red jasper, you're going to want to move out of my way. This is some Venus and Aries energy. These earthy babies help align us to our core powers, right? And our core power ultimately is being in the image of God, which is a mystery unto itself. But the core power is that you have a will and you have influence and exertion of that influence on the elements of being, right? And the more you play with that, Gemini moon and Mercury, the more innocent you are with that, the more victorious you are, right? If you're playing pickup basketball games and playing to win, that's cool. But if you're like living and dying based off of every victory or defeat, you're not going to win. You're not playing innocently. You're holding on too tightly. You need to release the expectation and go with the flow. So, who needs it? Air signs, city folk, right? So Mercury and Gemini, all of us need this right now. Where to put it? Wherever you are when you'd rather be barefoot pulling vibes from the earth below. Think white sand, green grass, yoga mat. Jupiter, Pisces, and Neptune. Mars in Pisces. When to use it? When you want to get back into your body after a stressful work week, a long flight, or a lit meditation session when you're kind of just disconnected. Uranus conjunct the sun, when you're too electrified, you want to kind of ground it. So strengthen your foundation, right? And I think the way we strengthen our foundation is to know that just to be alive and conscious is part of victory, right? Just the fact that you're on the journey at all, you're a participant, you're running around in the race of life at all. Pat yourself on the back. You know how many, I mean, I've heard the math before and it's just astronomical. It's like the math it takes for your parents to have you, for their parents to have them, go back. At some point you're like, a trillion to 1 odds that you're even here. And we take this shit so for granted and have abortions and drink our days away and stuff. It's like, wow, how stupid and foolish can we be? So the victory is in being at some level and then living well by living innocently and saying, thy will be done kind of thing. The universe is us and we are the universe at some level. Like we have liquid and gas and solid and we're all this kind of symphony of being, of materiality, but we're also more than that. We're a witness to it, the Magician card. So you need to strengthen your foundation by what? Releasing your ego in the unhealthy ways. You can't escape your ego. Even in Christianity, you're getting baptized and coming up out of the water and saying, I'm born again. Who's the I speaking? That's your ego. It's your self. You have a self. You can't get away from being a self. So embrace it and try to just be the best self you can be through grace, compassion, humbled humility. Gandalf, he was a self. He was a powerful individual. He was a celebrated person. He walked into Lothlorien or wherever and people were like, oh my God, there's Gandalf. He's the shit. Saruman, also a powerful wizard. One was serving the self more and one was serving the story more. Gandalf was being more innocent, you could say. Doesn't mean he didn't have teeth, right? But he released his ambitions to the greater good, which actually strengthened his foundation, Jasper, and made him a more powerful wizard ultimately. And that's how you can defeat the evil within you and the evil without you, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I know I talked a lot about Christianity today. It's on my mind, as I am a Christian. And my fiance is looking into it a little more. But we have victory. It ain't over yet. Tap into the innocence of your of playfulness. Don't take things too seriously. Or else you're just going to gnash your teeth forever and it's going to feel like hell. Even if you're in the best of times, you're going to be like, oh, I'm barely getting through this. You want to be an alchemist. You want to be the magician of your story. But there's kind of 2 roads you can go on. The good guy or the bad guy. Which wolf are you feeding, right? Are you self-obsessed and worried only about yourself, Saruman? Or are you kind of worried about the group and bringing goodness and rightness to the world and trying to help and soothe and beautify? North Node and Taurus. Gandalf, right? Be the better wizard. You have 2 wizards in you. You have a Jedi and you have a Sith Lord. We all have that. So don't think you can escape it. No prayer is going to escape you from that. No, nothing escapes you from that. Even Christians are still living in the flesh, as it says. Haley, we'll read all about this in Paul's letters. It's like, because she's always like, oh, you're such a hypocrite. It's like, oh, we'll read Paul. It's like, I don't do what I want to do, and I do what I don't want to do, and fuck, I'm fucked. Praise be to God that I'm saved, beyond this, because returning to innocence, saying I don't know. I know I'm powerful, I'm in the image of God, but at the same time, the story isn't over. I'm being justified and glorified through process. So you need to strengthen your foundation. Hopefully what I'm saying is resonating to some of y'all, right? And you release things that no longer serve you. And I was kind of getting to a point, so it's funny that my partner is at this point, where the kind of self-congratulatory new age kind of circle jerking is only so helpful. If somebody thinks they're Michael, the archangel reincarnated, that's cool, but like, how is that actually helping us? Right? So, and if you think you can talk to Shiva, that's cool. Like, how are you helping the world instead of just sitting in your little ashram and kind of oming out? But sometimes you need that, and there's a season for everything, right? So, stand in your victory knowing that the journey's not over. Play well with others. Take your power and use it well. Strengthen your foundation, and your foundation ultimately is your kundalini, your life force, but more than that, your spirit, your soul, what's in the image of God. So get right with God, you could say. And release your ego, your pride, the delusions, the things that have caused you to crust over and harden your heart, like Pharaoh in the Bible, right? We want to release that and say, I don't know, and I'm on the journey, and I'm kicking ass and taking names and doing the best I can. 6 of Wands. You're going to have people cheer you, you're going to have people jeer you, you can't win them all, but you and God know how you're playing your game, and only God can judge you, basically. Other people have bits of information, maybe perceptions, but no one knows your heart like God or yourself. And even we don't know our own hearts. I think that's one of the parts of the Bible that is most fascinating. I think it's a psalm where it's like, who can plumb the depth of the heart? Nobody knows. Like, there's things inside of you, if you get enough booze in you, or if you get enough power or money, or if you get, whatever, you're going to do some things that maybe aren't what you thought you would do. So stay strong in your victory, but don't think it's over. Remain innocent, remain in light, as talking heads would say. In light, lunar and solar light. You're a light in the darkness, right? Strengthen your foundation with Jasper by releasing that which no longer serves you. Hopefully this has made sense and resonated. If it has, holler for a reading. $33 for an hour of cards for you. $88 for 3 hours of astrology, talking about your chart and who thou art in that sense. And $111 for both. Check out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. We're almost at 300 episodes, but I'm taking a sabbatical this week because I'm leaving Costa Rica and having to pack and all sorts of stuff and trying to figure out what's next. And I'm just kind of in a transitory phase, so we're doing that, and we've got it booked out till September, but I don't know how that's going to look. But check out the podcast if you haven't. Great, a Christian kind of metaphysical, cool dude. Rupert Sheldrake, he was on. Stacey DeMarco, she made this deck she's been on. David DeAngelis, he made this deck. He's been on a few times. We've had some cool people. So check out the podcast. Holler for readings. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Leave a tip if you have. Like, share, subscribe, all that social media bullshit. And comment where you're watching from. I'm always curious. I'm a Gemini, Sun and Moon. I'm always curious where people watch from. So enjoy your Tears Day. Feel the power. Feel the energy. Tap into it. Wield your sword or wizard staff. Your lightsaber. Well, how? By releasing the bullshit. You got to even at some point release the story you're telling yourself about who you are, because that's not who you are ultimately. It's just who you are right now. So enjoy your Tears Day, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios.